Start recording, start streaming. Alright, this is testing. So
I don't know if this is better. I don't think it will be. It's probably not the best for like lighting.
alright, this is testing. So
Okay, hold on, wait. Can we like push it down a little
I don't know if
bit?
this is better. I don't think
So
it
it's
will
like more
be.
like a
It's probably not the
maybe
best
more at the
for, like,
at the camera.
lighting.
watch out, let's move the chair out.
Yeah, the chair is. Can we like push it
Just get out of the way.
I can sit in it. I can sit in it. If we want to use it, or we can get it out of the way.
You can use
Oh
it
yeah,
if
you
you
want
want
to
to.
sit? Yes.
Watch out, let's move the chair out.
Let's see if we can like back.
Oh, we can all fit. We can all fit.
Yeah, I like that. The lighting's okay. No, it's not. Wait,
Maybe just a glare from
what's
the
this?
camera.
What's this?
That's a light.
Oh, that's the light from up. Yeah,
Wait,
that
let's turn
light.
on main
Yeah,
light?
yeah.
Oh no.
It's kind of creepy.
Universal housing.
Alright, we need to make room.
I'm in.
For
Let's move it to the left.
yeah, move it to the okay.
The glare's kind of gone now.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. Before you read that script, DB, I'm just gonna sit there and read this. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
when you read this, or we'll just switch, and
Yeah,
then I'm
we'll
just gonna
switch,
read
yeah,
through
yeah.
the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take this. Okay. Okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Edmarck.
This is Kristian.
We gotta start. We gotta start with better energy than this. We gotta start with better. Than
Okay.
Redo
okay.
time.
All right.
Do you go right to left?
Continue the stream.
Yeah.
Continue the stream. Okay. Hit it, Surya.
Yo, what's up everyone? It's Surya.
This is Danny.
Kristian.
I'm Edmarck.
And this is our first live stream, and basically what today is going to be is a brainstorming session, because today's April 30th, which means that Actum will officially be live in less than 2 months. So this is the only period of time where we have, as a group, before the world ever knows about it. So that's important just in terms of planning and just making sure that we're ready, because as soon as it's up, we just have to make sure all our check boxes are checked. So just to go over a couple things, guys, these are all the things we have already, and then I'm going to read out what we don't. We have a launched website. We have a bank account set up that can withdraw and deposit money. We have every single social media profile active, not posted, but username and handle secured. We have a Google Drive organization that allows us to share files. We also have a meeting structure of meeting on our the first Wednesday of each month. We have a draft tenant application. We have a physical mailbox in order to receive parcels. And we have established all of our individual goals for this year. What we don't have is tax-exempt status from the IRS, 501c3, 2 months left to go. We do not have an official content plan or fundraising plan. We do not have merchandise ready. We don't have a volunteer-based forum, an online place where people around the world can have discussions. We don't have an app developed, and we also have not agreed on what the first model will look like. Damn, this feels very official. Okay. So, there's about 10 things to solve in this stream, and we're just kind of go through it and just really just think about these things.
Let's do that.
All right. The first is Danny is gonna read our launch video, and then every paragraph we just stop and just I guess say if there's anything wrong with the script.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are flushing this idea out, basically in front of you guys, everybody, which I think is an attempt to share in a collaborative process, both from the Actum team and with the supporters as to figuring out the best way to make this happen. People that are going to be on board for this are people who believe in its necessity, and the figuring out, while that is our responsibility, we're figuring it out with you guys as well. It's going to be a team effort. So we're excited to have you here, and let's get into it. Do you know what's sad? People are born on this planet with no choice at all and have to spend most of their lives working to pay it off. There's one crime we as a society have collectively accepted. It's to charge inhabitants on this planet for a place to live. The system of paying rent doesn't need to be the status quo. Why should it be? Rent traps people in debt, strains finances, and imposes stress that keeps human beings from personal development and freedom. But these reasons don't really matter. After all, does a human right really need a reason? Let's try that actually again. After all, does a human right really need a reason? A roof over every person's head is undoubtedly one of the most important achievements our species can accomplish. And it should be free. Because our dignity must be affirmed. Because it's fair.
So the idea is, like, this is the first launch video, so we're going to have clips of, whatever's mentioned. It's
Yes.
a voiceover. So that's a pretty good first paragraph, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to say.
Good.
But surely an ethical standard this massive would have happened by now if it were possible, right? Well, not necessarily. Economic systems prioritize profit over human rights. Real estate is a commodity. Investors seek a return, and landlords want to make a profit. But just because something is the norm doesn't make it right. The human race is highly resistant to change, especially ones aimed to improve it. For the 1800s, public education was largely reserved for wealthy families. In America, you couldn't go to school if you were born in a lower-class family. You were expected to do manual labor because education wasn't seen as necessary by the government or society. But not that long ago, some people questioned that premise and challenged the world. Today, education is accepted as a human right. It's not that time passed, it's that minds opened.
I think that's pretty good, yeah.
Only 80 years ago were millions of Jews persecuted during the Holocaust for nothing more than their identity. Only 60 years ago, black Americans were sprayed with fire hoses and attacked by dogs. And only 40 years ago, authorities used to allow widespread lead poisoning in homes and schools and turned a blind eye to prioritize convenience and industry profits, all while generations of children were forced to have lifelong damage. This is all to make one big point. We cannot simply accept the world we're born into. To passively accept the world we inherit is to betray our own potential to change it. If you want a better world, you'll have to ask for it. And for some reason, no one wants to address the biggest birthright of all: shelter. Yeah, I mean, these first two paragraphs are making a point that really is interesting to me, which is these things that we doubt as possible are only become possible once people open their minds, and then once it happens, it was something we should have done all along, and why didn't we do this earlier? We all know and understand these things as fundamental rights, but convenience often gets in the way until it doesn't, until we finally just say enough is enough.
Yeah. And then how do we prevent what's current from not letting us see what's right? Like, for example, how do we fast forward in time 1,000 years ago? Is this going to be looked down upon?
Right.
I think these are pretty good arguments. Slavery and the Holocaust, I think they're big, they're dramatic, but it's kind of on par with what we're saying.
Yeah.
I think potential to change is really impactful, because that's what it is. Really, is a grand potential to change something for the better, or I believe it's better.
There's no shortage of nonprofit organizations in America that exist to solve homelessness and help those in need. But in a way, everyone is in need. And while affordable housing programs exist, human beings don't deserve low cost, they deserve no cost. Social housing and shelters already exist. Universal housing is about guaranteeing a home for everyone, regardless of income, location, or circumstance. The similar models we have offer affordable housing, which doesn't directly tackle the core violation in the world. Every person born deserves a roof. Some people don't like the idea of giving a free place to live, mistakenly thinking it'll make people lazy. But we are so far gone to recognize it's what every person deserves. But are we so far gone to recognize it's what every person deserves to begin with? That you don't need to work hard to deserve a basic need? Unfortunately, too many people are rooted in the idea we should work hard to deserve a place to live. A basic need does not need to be earned. A basic need isn't contingent on what you decide to do with it. There are no conditions when it comes to a right, because it's a right. Fear that others will turn lazy overlooks the larger issue. You've been lied to. Also, one may consider that stability allows people to pursue education, growth, passions, contribute to the economy, and have the opportunity to see the world or raise a family without the constant stress of made-up expense that we've accepted as part of life. You don't need to earn the right to exist uncomfortably. We can flip the script. Instead of housing being a survival expense, it can become the baseline. Imagine if we never made free education available just because society feared we would lose farmers. Presumptions and opinions about humanity don't override ethical truths, because moral reasoning is timeless. It reveals what is true, not just what is believed currently. Isn't it crazy that the right to read was too disruptive to them? Well, apparently it wasn't that crazy. It was a rule that had to be fought for, and a guaranteed roof over every person's head will be next. Except it's not only the world that's to blame, but sometimes those who claim to help the world.
Okay.
I think we're hitting a lot of good points in terms of, historically speaking, there were things that we would have never seen as a right or to be available for everyone. And right now, currently, we don't see housing as a right or to be available for everyone for free. And I think what we're doing is starting awareness and also starting action in order to try to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. I was afraid to do this paragraph because you know when someone says when you try to sell something, don't point out the flaw. Like if you're trying to sell a car, don't say the tire's flat, just sell the car. Well, I wanted to sell the mission of Actum, but here I acknowledge a counter argument, which is when people say if you give people a free place to live, it makes them lazy. Should that be in the intro video? Should we counter that right there and there? I thought it was the biggest thing someone will counter.
Yeah, it absolutely is going to be the biggest thing that people will counter with.
People have told me it's going to be a center for, it's going to be a crack house, and it's going to make people lazy. So I want to, it's okay to admit it's okay to point out the argument in the beginning.
We should. An ability to point it out understands that we are aware of it as an essential issue, but that we're responding to it.
Okay, this next paragraph is pretty militaristic. We're going to go up against some people right here. A lot of people in positions of power are not going to like us. Go for it, TP.
There's a lot of incompetence, ineffectiveness, and lying in our world. For example, California had $24 billion to fight homelessness in 5 years, and it's reported they can't even track where the money went. If you look further, you'll find $145 million was spent to build 407 living units. But if you and I bought tiny homes for $25,000 for 407 people, that'd only be 7% of the amount the government spent. Even if our math is wrong, let's look at this year's headlines. The US government was audited and exposed for having billions of dollars worth of untraceable payments and other counts of fraud. And that's the government, whose essential role is to protect the rights of the people and uphold justice. What do we find when we examine non-governmental organizations who operate under a halo of moral authority? Charities are designed to help us, so they say, but it's time we ask the harder questions. Like, where does the money actually go? What's the measurable impact? And why is there so little financial transparency? Because many CEOs of nonprofits are known to be paid high salaries. The CEO of one of the leading NGOs for housing makes $450,000. Although, what if I told you there was a CEO who doesn't get paid? Someone who wants to make universal housing a reality. Someone downright terrified by the conditions of the world and fed up with the false-hearted systems that don't have your best interest in mind. Kristian Ventura is a theater graduate from the USC School of Drama. Both his parents struggled with housing. Until his death, his father lived in government-subsidized housing. His mother lived in a car while he studied in college. Ventura went on to become a Hollywood actor and star in his own Netflix show. But as much as he loves to be in movies, no fictional plot compares to the urgency of the real-world mission he's embarked on. Universal housing is a different story he wishes to see through. He's against companies who pat themselves on the back for claiming change has been made when it really hasn't. Kristian says go outside. The world provides us with instant feedback every day. You see what I see. Tired souls waiting to be energized. By paying rent, we pay the price of an unchosen life. There's no reason to celebrate unless there are results. And while an ambitious mission, I believe universal housing is possible under one condition. We just have to care in time. He started Actum, a company that in Latin literally means to act. And that's what the world must do if it wants to change. It must take action. You might think this requires hundreds of people with suits in offices. You'd be wrong.
Good.
I think we want to add something. Well, it ends. Maybe something about we also want them. Like, it's not the people in suits, it's everyone, like you guys, or whoever's hearing it.
That is
something about that.
That is definitely like a great point, because the ethos right now, you know, I probably spend too much time reading some of these comments on like Reddit or Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and there's just a lot of feeling of like, you know, if we all just kind of banded together, you know, like everyone is aware that there's a group at the top of people that are not interested in helping us, and there is a desire to unify everybody, basically not that top 1%. And so if we that's the way we combat the feeling of, you know, is this really going to happen? It's like, well, look around. There are a lot of people also that want to be part. That's you know, and we're trying to bring you in.
We can be the vessel.
Yeah, right.
To act for the people, but we also need people with us in order to act.
We're trying to be the vessel for something that's already happening, which is people wanting something like this.
Yeah. And even with, like I posted a couple YouTube videos that virtually have no views. I think they have about like 200 views, 250 views. And, you know, you take let's say an average YouTube video, like a Doja Cat's music video has like millions of views, and you look at the ratio of how many comments there are, thousands. But even just posting a video with 250 people looking at it, we've gotten several emails from different people in different parts of America saying, yo, how can I volunteer? And I was like, oh, we didn't even mention the word volunteer. And then how can I donate? Where's the link? And I don't know, it's crazy that even on a small scale, it does seem to be kind of engaging to people. They want to be a part of it. Yeah. Okay.
Kristian gathered a group of his best friends from school.
Wait, quick question. Yeah. Well, not quick question. In terms of the previous thing, I think we spoke some numbers in terms of what's currently there for the nonprofits and what happens with those numbers. And with this, I don't know whoever's watching, but if someone's watching, we want to be as transparent as possible with the amount of transactions or the money or wherever the cash flow is that goes in Actum to show and share with the people, because we want to learn from you guys as well, which is if we're doing something wrong or if we're doing something right. If someone is a financial expert, wants to look at it, go ahead, help us.
Yeah, right. Right.
Do you think that should actually be included in the video? We called them out for lack of transparency.
Yes.
So we should maybe add a sentence, but we're not.
But we're not.
We have this.
We want to do this, which is showcase everything, fully transparent. But there's that's more of a call to action type thing, which is, you know, if you would like to look at our financials. I guess call to action is look at our financials, and adding transparency is we're going to be doing that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're good.
Let's try that again. Kristian gathered a group of his best friends from school. And after they clock out of their jobs, they try and figure out how to create universal housing. There's Surya, who works in data analytics, Edmarck, who works in computer science, and Danny. That's me. I'm an actor. These young men I showed you are leaders with no ulterior motives. They have nothing to gain but to see this mission through. It is an incredibly hard mission, but it's amazing what you can get done when you care. Or perhaps don't care. I mean, Edmarck wore slippers when applying for Actum's bank account. They don't mind the rude glares, they mind progress. Kristian values transparency and showing you every part of him and his friends solving the problem of universal housing. You'll notice they don't speak or think like politicians. They're just young men trying to do the right thing. And honestly, that's probably the only way something like this can ever get done. That is a true statement.
Dude, yeah, that's the appeal here. Is what's their background? Oh, what? You know what I mean?
Right.
One of us.
Yeah, right. And also, that probably is the only way something like this ever could get done. You know, it wouldn't be the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you know, like...
Yeah. Not the company we're trying to
Actually, we love... We'll cut that part.
No, I'm just kidding. No, so I do want to point out that, no, it actually isn't the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, because you can't actually apply for a grant, even though, you know, they have just the biggest... That's the biggest nonprofit in the world. But they get to choose where the money goes. It's not like you can fill out an application. If you go on their website and you are a nonprofit looking for money, you can't. It's closed. There's no portal. There's nothing. It just says we only are accepting nonprofits that work in blood and biology. So honestly, I don't think we should cut that. I think it's true, DB. Like honestly.
We'll keep it.
Yeah. I think we're all nervous about the stream. This is our first time. So
Yeah.
Also, it's like 1,000 degrees in here.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
No,
What?
that's
No.
not
See, we're just a bunch of young guys trying to figure it out. Okay.
It's an Aaron.
The day Actum purchases a housing property and invites others to live inside at no cost, it would spark a ripple effect that will transform generations. A touch of good that is sent forth and cannot be withdrawn. And it's cool just to do the right thing. We hear words success, influence, grind, hustle. Have we forgotten about the word goodness? This era of hyper-individualization, celebrity culture, and self-interest doesn't make us who we are. We do. Human beings have a long history of being good, have a longer history of being good than having brain rot. I love that. We already practice non-reciprocal good in small ways. When we open doors, help strangers carry groceries, let others merge, share a meal. All around the world, kindness is a thread that connects us all. This same spirit can be scaled and is not limited to moments, but can shape movements. Universal housing will take time to grow, but time is a wonderful price to pay for something as foundational as a roof for everyone.
So, I only included that because my algorithm for the longest time is self-interest. It's how do you improve your life, how do you scale your business, and how do you just be better, faster, stronger. But I don't see how to be good or how to be kind. I see how to be kind so you can give followers, like recording when you give to homeless people, making it viral.
Right.
You know, but yeah, it just seems like an underrated thing in the media. It's not really vouched for, but I feel like in other countries, you see with your own eyes on the street to work, these people in Athens pick up their groceries, help the old lady walk, you know. I might not see it in LA, but there's acts of goodness every day, you know. So I only included that because it is a charity and was trying to appeal the fact that it actually does good. It's trying to make a reason for good by calling out celebrity culture. Questionable, but I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think it's fine.
I think that's definitely a big thing on like YouTube, or I'm not on TikTok as much, but yeah, you talked about this in one of the videos, like too much of a focus on self-improvement But at a certain point, we have all these people who either have taken that to heart or haven't. And even if they have, for what purpose? You know, at a certain point it has to be channeled into something for the betterment of others, not just for oneself. You know.
And even if some people disagree morally and saying, hey, this is my life, I have liberty to actually not help people, I think we're just sort of opening like the forgotten possibility that don't forget that you can.
Right.
Like even if like Andrew Huberman or all these people aren't talking about, you know, just doing and serving good, you can. So yeah, you're absolutely at liberty, of course, like to just live your own life. We're just kind of vouching that that's not the status quo. Historically, it's not been, you know.
That's a great point. So what does this look like? We will create an online system for everyone from all backgrounds and income levels to apply to live in a unit at no cost. By using a lottery, you remove power dynamics, favoritism, bureaucracy, and gatekeeping. It's unbiased justice. The randomness is the fairness. Anyone can win, no matter how rich or poor. The criteria includes a criminal background check, no smoking policy, and the tenant pays for their utilities. Then on a lottery basis, a randomized selection of people will be invited to live in the Actum residence and offered a lease. It's their place for however long they like it until they wish to move. And as long as the building stands, it won't just house the current tenants, but humans across the ages. This would be the first ever collective effort to address free universal housing as a human right. One building that alters the lives of thousands of humans after us. After the second residence, Actum will build more and more, all across the world. Actum will scout cheap apartment buildings, looking to renovate abandoned motels, construct space-efficient buildings for larger amounts of tenants. In other areas, buy land and assemble tiny homes. In other words, this is possible. This is happening. But it's expensive, and there's a window of time to act. Which leads to the big question. How is universal housing financially possible?
That's a good general basis of what we're going to do. It gives a good introduction, like, hey, what do? We're building apartments. We're building apartments, we have a lottery basis.
Right.
I don't know.
Is there anything we could... maybe there's something we... Is there a place for however then look... we might just want to add something about the tenant paying for their utilities.
Yeah.
What the justification behind that is. In alignment with what the ethos of Actum is. Because I'm not even denying that that isn't, you know, a reasonable, if not necessary, practicality. But how do we justify it?
Justification is it's a home, not a... Who said home? Who said home has to come with electricity and gas? When you buy a new house, it doesn't come with that. You have to pay for it.
That's
you
right.
rent electricity, you rent the gas you use. We want to continue that because that exists in the civilization at this moment, I guess.
Right.
We can't really make it free. We can't produce energy.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It does feel like the top comment is, free? Don't sound free if I have to pay utilities. But just on a practical level, as we're building these apartments, and when we build the first 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 buildings, we have a higher chance of scaling the project if financially utilities are covered by the tenants. By providing a home that would cost $1,000 a month and utilities cost $50 a month, we agreed, you know what, that is pretty fair to say that we remove essentially 95% of what's needed for, again, it's a nonprofit, these utilities are yours, so you just be paying for what you use, and yeah, it's just sort of sustainable, but it is kind of like, if we're talking about morals, it is a good debate if utilities is a human right.
I mean, in the future, there's potential for solar to be so advanced that we necessarily don't need to connect to SCE. All we do is put solar panels all the way up top, put batteries in the housing, and battery just powers the houses. But that would mean we limit everyone because we can't have one unit be using everything. So that's something later on to think about, but ideally we start with what's existing in the infrastructure, which is rent the utilities.
And in other words, there are some things that are more important, but it's not a door that we wouldn't never walk into.
Right.
Yeah. Actum would kind of fight for utilities in the future, maybe.
Right. This is a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like this is flexible. This is a ever changing.
Adapting.
We're adaptable.
I think it's important to get like the ball rolling. I know it's not really, it's not really pleasurable to pay for utilities, but I think the silver lining is be able to get like a home shelter outweighs paying minuscule bills. So I think as Danny said, it's flexible. It's not something that's permanent. So maybe it's something you could change in the future. Hopefully. Yeah.
Actum will have to fundraise a certain amount of money to be sustainable. The most recent draft of their financial model is to reinvest donations into stable stock market funds and a nonprofit brokerage account in order to generate returns to pay for the next building, essentially stretching your donation for greater impact. For example, VOO is a well-known exchange-traded fund that tracks the S&P 500, which are the largest 500 U.S. companies. People use it to individually retire, but Actum will use it to reshape the future. On average, VOO yields 8% returns. With, say, $10 million, Actum would expect to have $800,000 of gains in 12 months, which in some U.S. states is enough for Actum to buy one new building per year and maintain it. Last year, VOO generated 24%, which would equal $2.5 million simply letting the money sit. This is how we ensure sustainability. And over time, as the word spreads, it's simply then about buying land and building. The speed and execution of this is more achievable knowing the leaders of Actum don't get paid and they keep operational costs to almost zero in order to ensure every penny goes directly to achieving free universal housing. Their website is $207 a year. Their P.O. box is $234. And that's it. Unlike companies with money that mysteriously disappears without bloating expenses or the corrupt nature to conceal, Actum has two expenses of less than $450 of costs a year needed to keep the operation going. This is exactly how Actum has decided to do things. With integrity. Nothing needs to be a secret. It shouldn't. It's our world. We should all be involved, so we invite you to follow us. Join our adventure. Kristian and Surya developed the Actum Lab, a global forum for people all over the world to share their ideas. If you have a skill you're developing and want to volunteer for Actum, whether it be as an artist, architect, photo editor, work in law, construction, or technology, and have any kind of idea and knowledge you want to contribute to Actum, we want to hear from you. So come visit the lab.
Something about the returns. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not 8% every year. I feel like maybe a disclaimer under that says, please feel free to help us understand better if we're getting something wrong. Mm-hmm. If you think this is not sustainable or something. Some sort of a disclaimer.
I think we can protect ourselves by saying it simply, and in a negative year, Actum does not build. That way, we should say something like that. Like if there's like a negative 10%, then we don't build, and then the next year return. We do know historically there's never been 2 consecutive years of negatives in a row. I think that's why it's cool to say. I do want to play a bunch of clips where the top wealth influencers on YouTube, there's this compilation I developed in a playlist which just says, put your money in the S&P 500 and forget about it because you're going to be rich. Rich, 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 rich. How? By letting your money sit and doing nothing. And just goes to show how ridiculous it is that so few people decide to use that returns for something other than retirement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
That could fucking do so much. Well, it could do this. It could do this. And you can look at the charts. I've reviewed the VOO charts. They are
What did it say 8% return is on the $1 million, or did it say 10 million?
10 million would be 800.
Oh, 10 million. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 million.
Not the million.
800K.
And last year it generated 24%,
Yeah.
which would equal 2.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should literally be 3 apartments at that pace. But I think the challenging thing, and we're going to talk about later, is kind of agreeing, like, what is our goal? Like, what do we feel comfortable with generating each year? That way, not that we can halt the fundraiser, but we get to decide, hey, it's time to build. We've reached,
Yeah, right.
you know, so that's something to think about. But, okay, we could add that disclaimer for sure. Good shit, Surya.
This is more than just a nonprofit trying to solve a housing crisis. This is about participating in the next shift of our species. Actum is sending a clear message. We are now in the beginning of a worldwide movement to recognize free housing as a birthright. You are living in a transformative era. You are right in the heart of a pivotal moment to value shelter as a fundamental right, a change that will shape the future of Earth. Actum is about giving action. It's about refusing to accept the unfairness of the world we live in. The world gives us everything we need: food, water, air. And isn't it crazy that we still wage wars against each other? Greed won't prevail. Justice will. And you know what's exciting? We might fail, we might not, but regardless, the fact that Actum exists means we're living in perhaps one of the most hopeful, defining periods of human history. Who knows where this could lead to? It's like a really good TV show without a written ending yet. Well, it actually sort of is like a TV show, because the channel posts updates on their progress, and a lot happens.
Okay.
Nice.
We like solutions and honesty, and we don't have time for negativity. Our agenda is too big. Fear and doubt will never stop us, neither will zoning laws, paperwork, or people in positions of power who try to silence us. The time to act is now. Actum challenges scarcity thinking. It's a lie let's try that again. It's a lie that there's not enough. There is enough land. There is enough money. There is enough goodwill. It just hasn't been organized yet.
That was a bold one. Not bold, but, you know.
Because of there is enough money.
Aggressive, yeah. But I think that makes sense.
It is true.
Yeah.
It is true. I mean, all these things are like true statements. You know, even as I'm reading this, I'm like, yep, that is true. That is true. And you can just kind of forever and ever say, well, yes, but, or you can just like eventually be like, well, what would happen if you didn't put the but at the end of that yes, and you just follow that through as like, oh yeah, that's a true thing. So that should be followed through as such. You know, and it's like, if we fail, we fail. If we succeed, we succeed. But Actum existing at all is representative of a mindset that is not complacent in the reality of what this is, and is fighting for a different one. And in that way, that other reality almost exists, if by nothing else, as sheer potential, you know, and we're just trying to actualize that potential, because all these things are true. They are true statements.
Until we're in our homes, in our room, and we see a red dot because the U.S. government's trying to fucking kill us. That's why I put those who try to silence us. But no, legit, a lot of these things seem obvious, and that's why I think it's like, yeah, they seem obvious when you say these things, but it's only cringe because we haven't really been alive that long. Like, we got things wrong, 80 years ago, 60 years ago. We're young. America's young as a country, but we're young. We're like this much as the Earth has been alive. We've really only been here. So it may seem like some obvious thing that you're surprised Rockefeller hasn't done already. But guess what? He hasn't, because he was dealing with things in his era, and it's kind of about time something as obvious as this exists. That's why I call it the world's most obvious problem. Okay.
If you want to chat, come to the laboratory, or comment on this video, or on our Reddit thread, or our social media, or even our Twitch stream. This is an open conversation. So many people don't know what they want to do in life, and it's totally normal to be confused. But a lot of us just want to help. And this mission runs on help. Just go right into the next one.
Mm-hmm.
We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit, so every donation a person gives is tax deductible. You can donate to Actum directly at our website, www.becauseitsfair, and that's no apostrophe, .com/donate. We also sell cool stuff in our shop, t-shirts, stickers, hats, and all profit from our merch goes to our mission. That's the end of the video. I guess I'll finish by saying this task is unlike anything before. The rules are being rewritten. These upcoming years, fundraising for this initial endowment are critical. But we are filled with hope for you and your children. For the first time, what you give is an investment in the well-being of the entire world.
I want to fucking see that video. Yeah. Dope. Thanks for reading that, Danny.
Yeah, I mean I'm more convinced that this is something we ought to pursue. You know, yeah, and for everyone else who maybe is like me and is a little struggles with like shooting for the stars sometimes and is like, well, okay, how can we be practical here? I understand and get where you're coming from, and that is one way to go through life. But at a certain point, if you dare to be brave and truly shoot for the stars, this life can be and this world can be better than it is, and better than what we just accept as good enough. And without worrying about the end result, I'm finding a lot of pleasure and a lot of purpose in just doing the work and letting the result take care of itself. It's not our job to dictate and force people to be part of the mission. It's our job to serve this to you as something that we believe you should want to be part of, and the right people will join, and the rest will take care of itself.
I think we might want to put something in regards to making it as simple as possible for them to be a part of this, which is even saying spread the word.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's in there.
That's actually true.
Because what is the least amount of effort they could do? Tell someone about it.
Yeah.
So we're not looking for, like, we're not saying give us money, but I mean, we are saying that, but we're also saying just tell someone who would give us money.
Right.
No, because like what if like two people in high school, they're in history class and one of them says, "Oh shit, guess you don't need to pay for rent." And then and then it sits in their head for a while, and then they go talking about Kai Senate, I show speed, they just drift off. But it plants in their head, the world doesn't need to work that way. Crazy these guys are doing it. And then eventually, yeah, that's right, enough people say it. It's not even guys doing it, it's full on governments recognizing, oh shit, the world.
That's what people want. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Word of mouth is everything. Yeah. It's good. This is a pretty ambitious video. I think it's gonna kind of really have a great emotional impact. It touches on everything. I mean, I imagine people are gonna be watching this on their phones, tired from work. Like, Lapsey called me out on some shit the other day when you were like, Carl, how hard do you think it is to work at Wendy's? Yeah, until you fucking work it. And you're just tired. What? Why are you laughing? It's true, man.
It's true, yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And like, people are going to be pulling this up on their phones and just thinking, what in the frick? I don't even know if they're going to really believe it. That's why the first model is so important.
Yeah.
I want to prove it. I want us to have footage the way Mr. Beast does of, hey, let's look, we did this.
The issue is we need them to believe it first. And we need them to believe it in order to have the first model be available.
Yeah.
It can't be, here's a model, now believe it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we need at least 1 million people or 10 million people to give $1 each
Mhm.
in order for that model to be alive. Or one organization.
Yep. And the crazy thing is like, say we fail and we don't hit 10 mil. Say we reach half, 5 mil. 5 mil actually becomes our 10 mil goal in 7 to 8 years by letting it sit. So it's like, are we in a rush? Kinda. We're in a rush, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of weird, so I'm in a rush against random death. I don't want to just like spontaneously combust and not get this shit done. But in a way, it's like, dude, I'm not even tripping if 100 grand stretches to 10 mil. Descendants fucking watching this video start building apartment buildings in Denmark, you know, because it's Actum, yeah, you know. So anyway, and I feel like something, I don't know if the term is called free use or free something, but it's like you use people's models,
Yes.
even if you don't own the franchise.
Yes.
So like I bet our blueprints and shit are gonna be free
We
use.
won't have IP on anything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Unless they're making money on it. I don't know. Hold up. We
Oh,
want someone to build
shit.
a model
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
charge
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Now, here's just we're gonna go solve some problems here, okay?
Alright.
The tenant application form has some rules, and these rules are kind of questionable, but we just need to make an agreement. I'm gonna go one by one. Okay. This will be on the app. This will be in QR codes across the country. This will be and on our website, how to apply. Okay, the rules. Per household, only one person in the household can apply. You're the primary applicant. We're gonna ask for your full name, your date of birth, your social security, your current address, your contact info like your phone number and your email. There's no income minimum stated, but income details are required for a security deposit. This is tough because the reason why we're having a security deposit is they basically have the room for 10 days, 10 years, or their whole life. But it doesn't belong to them forever. Someone's going to live on it next. If the property is damaged, Actum pays it with their own pocket. It hurts the community, it hurts the financial sustainability. If they ruin a room, they have to pay for it, which is why we ask for a security deposit. That makes it not free. It makes it free, but as soon as people see a dollar sign, when all of our advertising and promotion has free in it,
Yeah, and then you say give me $1,000.
yeah. And also, how do we even come up with the number? Is it $850? Is it $600? So security deposit's kind of questionable. What I was thinking of is like looking at whatever the average rent is in whatever area we're building in, take that security deposit and make that the number.
You know what the security deposit is for, right? Like, what's it for?
For damage or if they don't pay rent.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, for damages, yeah. But let's say someone lived there for 99 years. You can't fix 99 years of damage with $1,000 or $800.
I know. Do we combat that with then what's it called? Health checks in the room, like inspections.
Bro, we're not a prison.
Fuck,
You don't
yeah,
go into someone's house and be like, let me check everything is good.
That's
Yeah,
true, man.
No.
We're not the HOA.
Well then, look, 99 years of living, that security deposit's very expensive.
And technically, who's gonna pay that if that person passes away and the room is free?
Well, I think that's like I think when people pass away, that's when attorneys get in and they contact the banks and you gotta pay off the debt. I think that's a thing.
Okay.
I think it goes always to the family member, but that is a good extreme to think. What if they have no family members, no money?
That's okay. But security deposit.
Yeah. I think.
What do you think?
Honestly,
First, yes or no? We'll think about the number later if there's a yes or no.
I think
Is there a way around having... I interrupted you.
I think yes.
Yes?
I think yes.
Have one? I want to think a way around it.
That's
Which
kinda
is not having
yeah,
one.
that's like my kind of... I feel like it's... You have to find a way around it.
Yeah.
Good. Do you think that we could set an actual, we actually invest in a specific stock that covers that? So we have our VO, but then we have something that covers, let's say, just, you know what I mean?
Homeowners pay for the damages they create in their own home. Why do we need a security deposit if they have an issue? They tell it to our portal.
Mhm.
We will arrange the people to fix it, but they must pay the cost. Possibly.
Mhm.
Which is, unless it was a broken pipe,
Ours.
our fault,
Right.
which is
Well,
we
pay
just
for that, yeah.
come out
Yeah.
of our pocket.
It's
But if it's a hole in the wall because of
a
rubbish,
fist. I didn't do it.
that's them.
Right.
That's them.
Yeah. We could, I mean, that's under the notion that they are reaching out and saying there's an issue.
Yeah.
Do you think it's appropriate, instead of doing a physical walk-in, we email them and say, how's the unit?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
If you have any issues, yeah, that's
Would there
okay.
be
Yeah.
like a time frame for them to reply, or would it just be like?
Every 6 months we can ask them, but they can apply whenever they want.
Yeah, and
Don't
it'll be...
landlords don't ever like do it.
They don't check.
No.
Like my old landlord came in once or twice and was kind of just like, "How you guys doing?" and was kind of looking.
Oh,
around.
really? Wow.
DB with the lawsuit.
I don't think they do, but they only renovate once someone moves out, and they renovate whatever changes the other units have had over time.
Okay, yeah. And I think it's safe to say, why don't we say then, no security deposit, but a kind of like, a surveillance system via our operating system, ask them questions very specifically, like how are the walls and how is everything running, and I'll wipe that out. Sick, cool, that's really good. Failure to pay utilities may lead to warnings and
Yeah, stop
potentially
it.
eviction.
Whatever. Not eviction.
Well,
Eviction.
I feel like people who people without paying the utilities, like if it's shut down and the city has notified us that one of the units is off, it might be because no one's living in it.
Gotcha.
It's just storage facility for someone, so they could run their coffee business. They put all the coffee beans in the. So I feel like no utilities is actually like, I guess a violation, not paying them.
What if they're on vacation for a year?
Wait, that's actually facts. That's also something to consider.
I would want to turn off my utilities if I'm not there for a year.
Maybe we can make it so that applicants must sign an agreement where if they
They know
take extended vacations, we know so that we don't have to evict them.
Yes.
But if they live in the unit and don't pay utilities, do we evict them? Wait, then they would always pay utilities. Never mind. We just got to make sure that their leave of absences are acknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's purely because I think we might want to put that somewhere. Purely because we don't want a unit to be a waste or just abandoned when
Right.
someone could live in a free home.
Because again, literally how it works is it is a grid of if we have 10 units and 2 fall out, all the applicants on the wait list, 2 of them will be randomized selection. It's constantly being filled. We just need to clean the room and prepare it. Okay, great. That solves it. We're going to ask them for authorization to do a criminal background check. Obviously, this needs to happen because when people think a randomized selection of human beings are in one designated space, crime is susceptible. So in order to ensure the safety of the community, which is priority, we need to do a background check for everyone and make sure that there's no violent crimes committed by applicants.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
I do that for my
No
apartment.
pedophiles.
No pedophiles, man. No pedophiles.
We want to harbor a safe community. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more ways to do that, but how so far we've done it is through quiet hours, which is 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. No disruptive noise during this period. Those hours, 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., those are kind of like dormitory hours. Like people are sleeping, don't make noise, don't play loud music.
That goes no matter what default.
Yeah, any apartment really.
Yes.
You cannot sublet the room without written approval from Actum.
Correct.
You can't Airbnb it, and
Yes. You cannot be.
what say it?
Well, every time I think in terms of a home, you're allowed to do that to your home.
But I feel like the reason why people sublet, for example, their apartment in New York is they want to compensate for the rent that's being lost while they're in Japan.
Correct.
Do you think it's fair to say you can't make money off this room, or it's their right? I feel like they shouldn't, because it kind of like fosters this community of oh, guys, I made it. I got an Actum home. It's for the boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of serves as like a hostel.
Yeah, right.
What do you think, Edmarck?
I guess I never really thought of that. I don't know.
I mean, definitely no Airbnb for business, but I'd say extended periods of time subletting. I guess if they wrote to us in an email, I'm going to be away, I'm going to be in France for half the year for work, we're not going to evict them. But at the same time, is it really our right to say you can't make money off that? Does it affect us? Maybe it doesn't.
It does. Give us 50% off. Donation charity.
Yeah, right.
Or whatever you're subletting.
Or something like that. To us. Back to Actum.
I'm kidding. That's a hard one. I
But
think
is
we probably
that so
know
wrong?
something. No, it's not wrong, but I just think in terms of a home, you're allowed to do that to your own home. But
You pay for your home?
you pay for your home.
Yeah.
You own that. But technically they own it, or they're renting this home.
Honestly, here's how I feel about it. Clean your mind, clean the slate of your thoughts. The aura of Actum is free. And as soon as you start to capitalize on a company that hates capitalization of real estate, there's some kind of corruption in the heart in some way.
Yeah.
We lost our goal right there.
Like, so I would say either we tax them, like if you're actually subletting, then yeah, give us half, or just don't do it at all.
Don't do it at all.
Let's do not do it at all.
Yes, don't do it at all.
You agree?
I think so. I mean, I am nervous about anything that strays from the free moniker, but also I'm kind of like, we do need to. We'd probably be served at throwing in little things like tax them. Like, you know, we can't.
Yeah, no.
It's like we're gonna run into problems if like we everything is 0 cents. You know, like I think there's kind of things like, okay, well, you buy a home, you don't pay for, you know, you pay for your own utilities. You know, things like that I think are kind of necessary, particularly at this point. Again, we're amenable to change with time, but you know, it's like I'd rather not ever get this off the ground because we're so interested in, you know what I mean?
And honestly, when you have 50,000 people waiting for a room, why don't we just freaking plug them in?
Right.
If they're willing to let a stranger on Facebook Marketplace sublet their room.
Yeah, right.
Honey, Sasha, I'm sorry. We have people that need the room, so
Right.
Okay. No subletting. Yeah.
no subletting, or we could possibly ask their permission to have a stranger
It's
live
just
in the room.
no overall.
Yeah, no. Overall.
No, we're all.
Good. But for if they are taking work vacations, or I'm sorry, like a work trip, and they're stationed for, let's say, half a year, I think that we at some point need to agree how long it's uncomfortable for the unit to be wasted. Because 6 months, I personally feel is okay, because that's legit. But like 2 years is like problematic.
Why is it wasted though?
Just because of the applicants waiting.
But they're using it technically.
As space storage?
Yeah, but
Like they're in France.
the idea was we don't care what.
They do.
Yeah.
That is so facts. They literally sign a lease agreement.
Because technically we just put someone back saying, now go pay rent. After eliminating or telling them they don't have to.
But the thing is that it has to be their primary residence. So how about we make it the second your work actually, you live in France now?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Must follow community rules. Disruptive behavior to the community, such as violations of smoking policy and quiet hours, may lead to warnings and eviction.
Okay.
Absolutely. No business or illegal activity is allowed in the unit. No pets allowed to ensure a clean and allergy-free environment.
Oof. I can't agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Pets, yes.
Pets to people are literally their family.
Yes.
Their family's home. At the time of this draft, it was, I guess it was to ensure the maintenance of the unit.
We would not be the first property that did not allow for animals.
Yep.
We would not be the first people to do that. I think this can be something that we are flexible with over time, but as an initial premise, I'm potentially kind of like, to start, I mean, I guess like there's enough people that are going to apply for the lottery, we hope, that, don't apply if you have pets.
They're removing someone.
Yeah, that's the fucking problem is, we used to have this system actually where we have 10% of applicants for sure so in the selection process in the randomized lottery, 10% of those with elderly, retirement age, disability would get in, veterans, but we realized that if we really want to make an unbiased system, you actually can't have, you can't make that selection, and you can't blame someone for not, having a disability. They actually have a less chance of getting in. Now they have a 90% chance. So by no pets, because they decided they're not a dog person, they have a less chance of getting in, which isn't the system we're promoting. This doesn't make sense. Allergy free. I think I wrote that because I'm fucking allergic. That's the fucking best. But people don't really get allergic in hallways. In hallways, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
I vote for keeping pets.
You vote for keeping pets. DB.
Okay, I mean, it might cause some problems, but okay.
I think, I don't know, at first I was at the fence because some people have them as like emotional support animals. Like they got like documents from doctors and stuff like that. And I guess if we were to say no, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like people need pets, or people need, an animal in their life.
Yeah, it's
Part of family.
Yeah, it's like, it's an extended member of your family. When your animal or pet dies, you're not just nonchalant like, oh, my dog died. It's like, oh, my dog died. Your whole day goes down. It's something that is attached to you. The only issue I could possibly see, depending on the animal, is the noise. If it's a dog barking, cats meow loud sometimes.
Is that a legitimate thing from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. in your guys' experience? Have you ever lived in a place where you hear dogs barking? I haven't in the apartments I lived in. I don't hear that.
Sometimes my dogs bark at night. But it isn't like, like 10 minutes of straight barking. It'll be like barking 30 seconds to a minute, and then that's pretty much it. But I know for some people that might not be the most pleasurable thing to experience when you have
We'll
stuff.
put the pets in one there.
Yeah.
Pet people. That way, so all the dogs are
Well,
barking.
Could we have like a pet designated
Segregation.
area?
Do you mean in the actual apartment building? Like the East Wing, that kind of thing?
Kinda.
Or are
I'm
you
looking
saying,
for options here, like.
Are you saying like, say we have a unit, let's say we have some land in Texas, only pets. It's a zoo.
I say we include it until it's a problem. What
Okay.
if it's not a problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're
We're
right.
assuming it's already a
We
problem.
could always just be like, next applicant, do you have a pet? No, sorry, we're having problems right now.
Yeah,
We're gonna
right,
figure it
right,
out. The
right.
next person.
You're right.
Like I didn't want.
We don't need a lead with no pets.
Yeah.
I didn't want these civil cases of dog bites on the property, but honestly, Actum shouldn't be liable for that.
Yeah, no. It doesn't matter whose apartment it's in.
I guess it's just a question. If we do end up doing no pets, right? Is that what we're leaning on?
No.
No,
We're,
okay.
we're landing
Or
on
that,
that.
okay, never mind. Then. That's fine.
Honestly, it will cause damage to the room, but
You think a pet causes more damage than a human?
I don't know about more, but yo, sometimes the smell never goes. You know what I'm
The
saying?
human smell also never goes.
Smeller. Yeah. No, you're right. Every building after a certain amount of year, every unit is gonna need work. Maybe pets are just something we accompany it with.
Yes.
A dog is not a monkey, but let's just hope they're trained.
They could have a monkey.
Can they have them?
The most, I mean, you got to think about it realistically though. Like, it's not a fairly big unit. You know what I mean? You don't want to have your animal just close into an oversized cage, I guess. So that's something that the owner should take, because you want to bring like a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
At least I don't think you would into such confined space.
Right.
Like a little dog or whatever, wiener dog. You know, they're tiny.
Yeah.
For them, everything's big. You know.
Everything's big.
Cool. Great, guys. Just this last point on this application is just tenant must provide 30 days notice before moving out. That way that gives us adequate time to clean and prepare the room and go ahead and screen the next applicant and get their information for move-in and send them their keys. Awesome. That's literally what it is. I think the coolest part of the application is it says rent cost 0. I think that's so badass. I think that's like should be it's on a lease agreement. I've never seen anything.
Yeah,
like
that
should
is
be
wild.
fucking on a jacket, hoodie or something.
Right. Cost is 0.
What was it?
That's actually a great idea for like a hoodie. Like
Logo.
yeah,
Like a
that is
logo.
that is kind of tough. Like
Yeah, it's tough, right?
It's
like
tough.
the lease agreement. Yeah. Okay, awesome, guys. Just a few last things now that we've finished reviewing the agreement. Okay. Do you guys have any opinions on ensuring the safety of our residents? That in addition to the background check, what further precautions we can take? I will say that every building will have surveillance, and there's a portal in which applicants can report things to us immediately, like an emergency service. Yeah.
Done. When you said the word insurance, usually apartments require you to have a homeowner's insurance. Usually a house requires you to have an insurance. We may have to add that in. I don't think that's something we've thought about. At all.
Insurance. Like, is that something that like makes you more?
If there's a fire disaster, your things burn, the insurance covers some of those items up to the amount you're insured. So
Are you saying
It's-
paper rather?
no, usually it's a requirement that you ask an applicant. So when you go live in an apartment, you say, I have this homeowner's insurance, here's the copy of it.
Oh.
And they get it from like a third party. And usually an apartment will say, use this third party as the provider of your homeowner's insurance. Legally it might come into play.
Okay.
People living might need it. I don't know if you have it now. That was a big fall,
Damn, someone fell. Emma.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, because she was a big fall. She's
that was
really
a fall.
a heavy child.
That's crazy. That's
And then
crazy.
they-
Wait, didn't she? Wait, didn't
That's out there, man.
didn't Cindy make me a torta?
It's too late, man. You gonna go get it with the baby crying?
Don't do it right
Yeah,
now.
bro, I'm so hungry.
Alright.
Alright, okay.
Insurance, we'll think about that later. But yes, I agree with in terms of surveillance,
What the heck?
security.
And I have a 3 warning system, so violations to smoking, noise, and conflicts with other tenants issued 3
Simple
warnings
ones. Okay.
until an eviction.
I don't know if we've gotten over this, but some people need medicinal marijuana. Are they not allowed then? Just to confirm.
Nah, they're allowed, just not Zaza it up everywhere.
Once your place starts getting a little stanky, we
You
gotta
walk outside, all we smell is weed.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that medicinal? That looks like recreational.
Yeah, we can't let all of Actum just become like one big smokehouse.
That's
Everyone's
exactly.
just,
There's something to protect here. I mean,
free time
obviously,
equals free work.
everyone's like, great, I'm just gonna rip weed all day. Like,
There's
no.
gonna be someone right outside.
Yeah.
These guys live for free. They must have money now.
We start selling Actum marijuana. Like,
the bong house. Yeah, man. It is important to protect the image of this because, again, the first thing I get is, I even like Edmarck and I went to go see a priest, and we asked him what he thinks about this sort of charity, and he said,
Put him on blast.
from a Catholic perspective, this priest said he believes it's a dangerous thing for the world because it allows people to use the units as drug houses.
and now say that priest's name.
And where he lives, what church he's at.
And that's what I think we need to take that stigma out immediately, along with our promoting. Is once these units are up, these are great communities. These are places people call home. They are not that. Not every homeless person is addicted to drugs. Not every poor person is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds obvious to us, but it's like ridiculous. I was speaking to this one conservative British man who told me the same thing about the safety of this, and we have to disprove that.
Gates, surveillance, security.
Yeah, and absolute no tolerance for disruption to the
Yes.
other tenants.
I think we may have to define what's significant for a warning versus eviction right away.
We could work on
A
that.
fine line.
Good.
Yeah.
This we have just 3 more things here. This question is, how do we pitch this to the world? We have a great video that you read, DB. When I see, for example, I saw this on my Instagram. Someone's nonprofit said, buy a butterfly necklace and feed 5 meals or something. And I was like, that's so efficient. 5 meals is a butterfly, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy the necklace. I also don't own a UNICEF hoodie and rep that. Oh my God, they were the ones who eradicated polio. Badass. I got UNICEF. It's awesome, but we don't wear it. I don't know why, but it's so easy just like not to care about something. And while I'm hyped in my apartment, doing this, the person scrolls only has a couple seconds to care.
This is where we need creatives, because it's about, yes, something quick, easy, and something, that feed 5 families or whatever, but it's also got to be cool. It's also got to be something that people are genuinely like, yeah, I want that. In a way, almost like, I like the aesthetic of that even beyond what its association with Actum. And then it's the association with Actum combined with the cool aesthetic that makes people actually want to pay for it. So it has to be, that's where hopefully you guys can help, and where it's great to have creatives here who can come up with ideas to just make it artistically interesting, because that's what's going to push us ahead.
Like, our audience is global, so there's a lot of people who are going to be on board. There's a lot of people who are not going to be on board. I don't think we need to spend too much time convincing people that housing is a right.
Right.
But at the same time, I do think that it's mind-boggling how much I don't care about buying Mr. Beast chocolate bar. But I guess a lot of people do. That's a successful business, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe it's just me. Okay.
But they're not buying it because...
It's a good chocolate. You're buying it because it's Mr. Beast, right? It's cool.
Yeah, but they're not buying it to feed a child in whatever place it goes to. They're not going like, oh, buy my chocolate, feed a charity. No. It's more of, buy my chocolate.
Okay.
They're like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just because...
We need to be Mr. Beast. We need to be Mr. Beast.
Bigger.
Yeah.
He's okay though.
Okay. This one here says, what does Actum look like? Best case scenario. The dream of it being physically here. To me, it looks like there's an equation. Are we building houses? Yes. If yes, continue. If no, build. So the only successful model of Actum and what the best case scenario is that people all across the world are experiencing free units. So the question is what do you think the best case would look like if this really worked?
Houses everywhere.
Yeah, houses everywhere.
Everyone
right?
living in it. I mean, and potentially it being used as a period of time for people to be able to get a bigger home if they wanted to.
Yeah.
We're okay with that. We don't mind.
Yeah.
But it'd be cooler for you to stay forever.
Yeah, it's great because once you go ahead and have a child and want to move to a bigger place, you actually now have the money to buy a home, which isn't really a threat to the real estate industry completely, but it is actually encourages home ownership in a way.
Yeah.
It's all cultural. A lot of people in the arrondissements in Paris live in apartments forever. Other people want the white picket fence. We're just saying we're going to offer you a standard place. But yeah, that's what best case scenario looks like, right? I don't think it needs to look like, like not everyone's going to wear like an Actum necklace on the world. I think the results are more important than like the global brand. I think charities are kind of, they give an ick to it because people don't want to look like pretentious by supporting charities, like wearing them.
Best case scenario is governments around the world actually take this as their own.
Yes. Yep.
Because it's not something that will be sustainable if the system isn't with it, I guess.
Yeah. If it can't start with the government, it has to start here. But it can end with them.
It can end with them, yes.
Yeah. Good.
They can scale it way faster.
This one here is our fundraising plan. Now I just kind of want to run through. I'm just going to read out how we're going to raise money and see if you guys agree with it or have anything new. But it's going to go like this. We're going to launch our central crowdfunding campaign to rally people around the world. We want everyone from every corner to be reached. Social media, compelling content. We also want to target, number 2, major donors and philanthropists by reaching out to foundations aligned with social innovation, human rights. Thirdly, we want to target corporate sponsorships and businesses who are interested in supporting a housing solution. This is supposed to give us more exposure, possibly collaborations with brands, or simply financial backing. Corporations do that, and that would be one of our biggest ways to get money. The fourth is we're going to apply for every fucking government grant there is, as long as it ensures that the government doesn't have any authority over our land. Because sometimes they have the right to either build stuff on it outside of Actum or start charging more taxes. So we have to say grants that allow, not that. Then we're going to have a merchandise on our website as a key revenue stream. We're going to have Actum branded products like t-shirts, hoodies, and mugs. And these both raise money and spread awareness. And we also, in the future, want to host actually events like galas in order to generate support and giving the people the chance to connect with Actum's work. These are like live stream concerts or Twitch live streams. These are like events. They're not just fundraisers, but it's actual things that draw attention, auctions, dances. And then the last way to raise money here is actually to engage the youth and start a program for high schools to open up a campus charter. The students would be able to hold donation drives and have, like quirky, cool, fun things to solve throughout the year, like what if you give a group of 18-year-olds in Texas a whole year to figure out how to make this more efficient? They write essays, turn it into us. We give them rewards.
Not even essays, videos.
Paintings.
This age
Yeah.
or social media, yeah.
Yeah. And
Whatever they want.
the university charters can do it too. They can hold fundraisers or even just do advocacy. The only thing with that is that's the only thing that would actually raise operational costs, because we'd have to send like startup kits, T-shirts for the president, treasury secretary. No, don't do that.
I mean,
I
yes.
feel like yeah.
But you could just send a link to a site, and that's all there is they need. And you
Oh,
just
yeah,
have to-
yeah.
Right? A link to a site, they can upload their videos, upload the essays, but somewhat of a gift.
Yeah, we have to give them like an end of the year thing, but
back,
we could be super
yes.
transparent on the internet saying, hey, this is how much we spent on gifts.
Yes. And I don't think that would
Yeah.
cost much. Yes.
Cool. But yeah, so that's how we raise money in summary. It's donations, either from crowdfunding, corporations, donors, grants, and then our merch. Our merch. This is basically kind of like a model for a lot of NGOs. This is kind of what they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might want to look at some, I don't know, just some charts of how well they grow in terms of all of those.
Mhm.
Just to understand if the growth is exponential or if the growth is very, very minimal but stable, or if there is any growth. Just in terms of what they're doing still applies to us, and what is something we can do that's new that they're not doing,
Right.
that would kind of lead us to an exponential growth.
This is the creative, aspect
Yes.
of things, and I think this community is going to help a lot with that.
Yes.
Chat.
Chat, yeah, love you, chat.
Yo, what's up, chat?
Chat, yo!
Chat.
W's in the chat.
W's in the chat.
So cringe.
Oh, that's what it is now. Those
All
are
right,
cringe.
this last question, guys, of this brainstorming session is...
You ready for this chat?
Spam W, spam W.
Do we feel ready?
We're in progress. We're not even, we're beyond ready.
I feel like I really want an app. I really want the Actum laboratory so people
Yes,
can
yes.
have discussions. But, currently right now, we have our website up, which you can give donations, and that actually goes right to the Actum bank account for housing, except it's not tax deductible, so we're waiting on tax exempt status, so we're not promoting it yet. That's why Actum isn't on the internet right now, is because we're just waiting for that. But I don't know, like, a part of me feels kind of ready. What makes me feel ready is if we have content being pushed and we have an active fundraiser, then my bases are crossed, and I feel like I can almost like breathe.
Yes.
But without those two things of content or fundraiser, we have no generation of money. So I just want us to like continue to like talk to brands every week. I want to talk to large figures every week. If there's nothing to do on Monday, reach out to 10 musicians and see, can we crash your concert? I don't know. Can you put up a billboard? I feel like kind of ready.
I guess, yeah, in terms of the time, if there's nothing to do, there's always opportunity to think of marketing strategies and executing those marketing strategies.
Like a digital content plan?
Digital content, in-person content.
Yeah, in-person content.
Trends change like this every day. You just have to create a piece of something that merges with the trends that can capture the attention. Yes.
I feel ready. I feel ready because I feel like there's nothing left to do other than like get to work. I feel like we could just spin ourselves in circles with this is like, let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go.
Let's just give it to the world.
Yeah, right.
And give it to the world, Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're ready. I think the ball now has its momentum. I think there's always, as Danny's gonna say, there's always like gonna be X, Y, Z, why not to do it. I think It's just we just gotta go for it, and then just try to overcome these obstacles that come.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you think people need to know, oh yeah? Well, where's your first building? And
No.
they don't need to know that.
You help us figure it out.
Worst.
You
Yeah.
tell us.
There you said Uno reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know. We're just figuring out a problem. Give us the pieces.
Yeah,
We'll put
right.
the puzzle together.
Right.
Yeah.
You want a building, you got to contribute.
Yeah.
We need your
There's
help.
a brick.
We never
Brick by
said
brick.
we never said we could do this without your help. In fact, the
Yeah.
opposite. We said we needed
so
your
if
help.
anyone says that, I think it's more of a
There are things we know though, in terms of like not wanting to build units where there's like no civilization nearby. Obviously, we're scouting cheap land, but it's not at the expense of people do drive an hour from work, so we're not
Texas.
saying but there's that. Yeah, I do feel ready. Unfortunately, DB, I was I had a sleepover with Surya, and we were watching all these videos of people in the UK just kind of building these tiny home communities. So billionaires build like a 99 tiny home community, and so we reached out and asked them, how do you guys maintain like
Sustain.
property taxes? Do they pay utilities? How do you guys work and function? Because the news said featured, hey, look at this is what they're doing, it's amazing, but we're just trying to figure out like, okay, how does the system run?
Right.
I didn't tell you this, Surya. I got an email. I actually got an email from all of them, or the two that I reached out, and they charged me for information. They said, we'll pay you. You need to pay in order to know how we do it. And I thought, isn't this a fucking non-profit?
Actually, it wasn't a non-profit for them.
One
of them was a non-profit.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, one of them.
Yes. Well, non-profit is they don't
How
take
much
the
did
profit.
how much did they want?
I think it's $25.
I mean,
but it's the idea.
It's the idea,
They
yeah,
kind of like fucks with me. Like okay,
if you want it for everyone, why would you put it behind a paywall?
why do you need to charge $25
for like information?
That's so weird.
I think they have like a PDF kit of
how
like
to do it on your own?
how like the tiny homes are assembled. But I wasn't asking that. I was asking just like how do you guys are financially sustainable? But I think it's so weird that we actually have less teammates than we think, DB.
Yeah, right.
Even if people are doing the same thing. That's
I know.
Crazy.
It almost felt competitive.
It's so weird. Like we're competing for like
can build more homes.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like,
I know, man.
Competitive building.
We have to be first to market then.
yeah,
We're freer than you.
like, end up like getting in a war with these people over like.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's better for the world then. Everybody gets a free home.
Yeah.
But you know what is
Faster.
crazy? Like the tiny homes make it as actually like a homelessness solution, but it's not free. All those places we reached out, they charge rent at a low cost.
Yes.
So it's not the same model.
Yes.
It's not the
And
same
I think
model.
they are also in community areas where it's possible to have cheaper homes. I think there wasn't because it was like someone just owned land,
Yeah.
and they built it on that.
And a large percentage of their financial portfolio was because it's targeting the low-income communities in the UK. The government funded so many
Subsidies.
millions of it.
Yes.
So we're not necessarily going to have that. It's a weird kind of universal charity where the government's going to be like, oh, so this is for LA homelessness. And we're going to be like, no, it's for anyone.
Well, of course, it still includes the homelessness because we'll have people, give us.
They're
give
probably
them grants
they
for the
are going to be the
utilities.
most to apply.
Yes.
Like I feel like they likely.
Yeah.
Like they likely will be the most to
The
apply.
only issue is how would they know to apply.
Right.
And I think that's where we work with the current already existing homeless problem,
Yeah.
who are helping them get situated. Hey, help them apply to our forms and help them be set up to an aid for the utilities. That's all they need, right?
Yeah.
I feel like government, I don't know, they probably do provide funding or some sort of unemployment benefits.
Yep.
As long as they're working with that. So we could work with already existing nonprofits that are helping homeless people get off their feet to get a job. We'll provide them the home, you help them get a job. There you go. So it helps.
Yeah, all those companies that say, We are a nonprofit that offers information and resources. Well, step up. We need you. We need you now.
We're about to hit at hour 30. Let's.
All right.
Okay, guys. Good shit.
Great stream. We'll come back to you guys again.
We love you.
Yes.
Bye.
A better stream next time.
Better lighting.